I know you guys are going to have maybe more to say or more to enlighten, I guess, than me on this. I'll briefly say this, and I could go over. Joe and Dom have actually played the damn games. I haven't. I just read the synopsis of the first three games, but Five Nights at Freddy's is finally getting a movie after a little bit of lingering. I don't want to say development hell because it's been in production for about 7 years, and that's not 7, 8 years, so that's really not a huge amount of time in the grand scheme of filmmaking, but it did go through some delays in production, though. So we're finally getting it, though, which is exciting. Five Nights at Freddy's comes out October 27th. It's based on the popular video game series. This is based on the whole franchise, right? Or this isn't like a direct. This isn't a direct adaptation of the first game, I don't think.
So, you know what, Dom? I'll let you take this one actually, because you probably know a little bit more about the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's than I do. But I do think it is taking more than just one game.
Let me say this: I've actually never played the games, but like hands
I
on the
thought you
controller.
played them.
No, no, no. I've seen people play them. I've been in the room with people who played them, but you know me, I'm not a horror guy. And this is more like jump scare horror. That's literally what this whole thing is. It's just jump scares. That's the basis of that's the loop. That is for all seven of these freaking things. That's the loop. But yeah, it looks to be, if not a 1-to-1 adaptation, it's certainly a straightforward adaptation. This isn't going to be like Guillermo del Toro's take on Pinocchio, where it's like, oh, we're going to make this even darker. No, it seems to be playing up all the aspects of this thing that the original did. And Scott Cawthon, the creator, the indie developer who made the first one and pretty much all the rest of them, and did a lot of stuff to promote that. He had been a long time game developer, a devout Christian, which is kind of important because he made a lot of Christian games, and his conservative views proved to be a little problematic later on, but he dedicated once Five Nights at Freddy's came along and became a massive hit online. He dedicated to that series, that franchise, that baby. Which say what you will about how derivative the other games got, how kind of he could not capture thunder or lightning twice. However you think about that, he dedicated to this franchise, and kudos to that. He was involved. He wrote like a novel. I think he's, I don't know how involved he is with the movie itself. I don't know if
I want to say when it gets closer, don't tempt me with a good time, but I was just actually looking at photos from the graphic novels of this thing, and don't tempt me with a good time. I might read some of these.
He made a great world. It's the perfect thing for our age group. Perfect scare, the perfect setting. It plays into all of our fears, which is
I mean, for people who don't know, because I don't want to. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, for people who don't know, like the game essentially, I'm just going to give the bare Cliff Notes version of this thing, but like the game takes place in a fictional pizzeria, and it's called Freddy
Cheese, like esque type of pizzeria.
Very much so. It's called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and essentially you take the role of a security guard, a night security guard in this pizzeria, and you have to defend yourself from these animatronic characters. I think there's 4 of them that come to life at night in the pizzeria. And essentially, and this is where I think this is hilarious at the same time, like petrifying. Essentially, you're taking directions from voicemail messages left by the previous guy who worked as a security guard, who gives you insight into how these animatronic figures operate. They come alive at night and they turn homicidal. And essentially, in the game, if one of these animatronics catches you, or they see a human, they mistake them as like the animatronic like endoskeleton of it, like before like the fur and the costume is put on, so they try to stuff you into a costume, and that's what kills you. And I think that is like morbidly fascinating right there. And so it's a survival horror game. It's a point and click game. At least the first one was. But again, like Dom, and this is why I wanted to chime in with Dom saying that like it's perfect for our generation, because we were the Chuck E. Cheese generation, and those animatronics were always fucking weird. They were always odd. There was something like fascinating about them, but also deeply terrifying. And if you've ever seen videos of those things when they're turned off at night, Like if you've ever seen like videos or like ones that have been like garbage or trash or malfunctioning, I've gone down those rabbit holes before.
Did you
And
ever peek behind the curtain? Did you ever, like, what, when the curtains closed at Chuck E. Cheese and all the animatronics
Yes.
are off? The restaurant is open. The restaurant is totally open, but the curtains are closed, and like a bunch of kids would try to get in there and
Yeah.
like look behind, and often you would, and it's like that. Right, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how old Scott Cawthon is, but if he probably did that.
he's
During
44, so so
that's
he's
his
right. He's
that
right in the age. Yeah.
it's like yeah, it's like the whole millennial spectrum, totally into that. And he's like, he probably did that, and that was like the impetus for it all. That's maybe, I don't know, but that is, God, I have so many vivid memories of Chuck E. Cheese. This game is such a phenomenon. Joe, I'm sure you've played it, like hands-on played it, and the ingenious nature of the gameplay is so effective and so addicting.
Yeah.
And
That
at least that's what I've been told. Yeah.
That whole idea, like if you've ever seen the movie Source Code, is what I'm going to use an example here for people
With Jake Gyllenhaal?
With Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm going to use that as an
Oh, I
example.
love that movie. Yeah.
It's a
Throwback.
fantastic movie, amazing movie. The movie's all about him dying and restarting the level.
Yeah.
And not literally a level. There's a whole other thing. If you haven't seen that movie, go check it out. It's a really good sci-fi movie. But it's definitely one of those like Groundhog Day scenarios. But Five Nights at Freddy's, the games are definitely that. It is learning from your mistake and being like, okay, on night 3, Chica is going to be moving down the hallway on the left side, and I need to make sure I seal the door on the left side. Now, when that happens, Freddy is going to be communicating me, and it's like, you're keeping all this in mind. It's like a puzzle game, basically, of just like
And you get a little bit
error.
further each time.
Yeah,
You get a
trial
little bit
and error,
further
yeah.
each time.
Like, because, people who play these games and, like, think, like, oh, man, like, you always die a ton. It's just made to scare you. It's like, that's kind of, like, it's kind of the fun of the game, though. Like, you pay $5 for this game. It's not like a $60 video game that we usually get. It's $5 for a great, like, little thing to play at Halloween time and to scare your friends. Oh, my God, dude. My friend had a theater screen in his basement that we could hook up his PC to.
Oh.
And we
Ooh,
played,
that's cool.
we played Five Nights at Freddy's 1, 2, and 3 on his PC there, and it was so much fun. Like, each kid would just take over, and like we would do the thing where, like, the voicemails, the kid that would come in, the kid that's getting off the computer to go sit in the auditorium now to watch it, he would be like, okay, I noticed this, and I noticed this, and we just
It's like you have the voicemail.
yeah, we would
That's
pass
really
along
fun.
the
Did-
information.
That's sweet.
This game does so well as strangely as a party game, or at least
It really was
people
yeah.
watching you play it, which is what I did. I never like hands-on played it
Because
I can't do jump
I would
scares
so
well.
watch. I would so watch either of you play this.
I'm honestly so down. Like, the week this comes out, just on this channel, I stream the game. Like, I'll be.
That's
so
what, honestly. Oh, sorry, but that's honestly like how that a lot of streamers, a lot of YouTube personalities, they got their start
Markiplier.
playing. Or that's yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
Markiplier. Was that the bite of '87? That put a lot of YouTubers and streamers over the top.
Yeah.
That was Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah.
And it's every now and then a developer, usually an indie developer, comes up with this game loop, this formula, this idea that is so potent and so effective that it's like whoever made the first, I think it was an Arma 3 mod, whoever made the first battle
Daisy.
royale game.
Sorry, yeah, my bad.
Well, that one, I think that one too. But yeah, whoever made the first battle royale game, it's like they caught fire, and it's
Yeah.
like every other Fortnite, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, they all took it with it. So
Yeah.
Five Nights at Freddy's, I don't know if it was copied all that often, because it's so distilled, but it's just such an effective thing. Let's talk about the lore.
Yeah.
Not deep into the lore, but just the overall aesthetic of it, the depth of the lore.
Yes. That
This is not a cutscene kind of game, but the lore just outpaces it so much,
Yeah.
Joe.
that's why I wanted to hit on sort of too, talking just about the games in general. What I remember when buying it, because this came out, and I was a senior in high school when this came out. Wait, no, I was done with high school actually by the time this came out. I was going to college. So me and my friends are just hanging out late at night, and we're just like shooting the shit during the summer. And this came out, I think, like, I remember the first game came out 2 weeks before college started, and we're just having our like going away party. Kids are going away, some kids are going to community college, and like I remember telling me about this game. Like, no, dude. I'm like, dude, this is like one of the creepiest games I play because just the atmosphere of this game. Like Dom is saying, there's no cutscenes to this game, so it's not like you sit down and you watch a cutscene then you start playing. No, this game starts out, you're just already in the security booth, and this guy's telling you over voicemail like, yeah, sometimes these animatronics move and everything, and you're like, wait, what? And the voicemail just like ends there, and now you're stuck there for the next 20 minutes. Like waiting for 5 a.m. to hit where you can get out of there and go to the next night, and you're just going through security cameras and you see these animatronics just sitting there like staring off to the side like this, and sometimes you'll flip back a camera and it'll be like the head will like turn just slightly and you're like, that I'm pretty sure they were looking for more off to the right. And as each night went on and the crazier you got, it did such a great job at building atmosphere that like a filmmaker can, I think, easily replicate that. We've seen it done with films where like they play with like tricks with your mind and like, was that there before? Was that, you know, all that stuff. Like it's definitely easy to take that. And Scott, to answer your question from earlier, Dom, Scott is involved as a screenwriter in this for creating the characters and just kind of like a storyboard, like, you know, kind of person. And he is producing it with Jason Blum. They're working alongside together. So he does have some involvement in this film and you know, probably a lot of say in terms of creative choices. Because I remember like reading interviews that he would not sell the film rights unless if he agreed on the script 100%. Like he was sold on it. He was like, okay, this is it. This is what I want the movie to be. He has retired, like you said, from making the games now back in 2022. But I think this might be like the last project he'll do, and then he's like officially just done with Five Nights at Freddy's in general. But we'll see how that turns out. But yeah, man, I mean, like learning about what happened at Five Nights at Freddy's, like in the past, in the 80s, before it had this closure and everything, what it led to, and then why you're still like, you know, why is someone being paid to come watch a pizzeria that's abandoned and just has animatronics? Like, why is someone being paid? And just the mystery behind all of that is just,
that was my first question. Don't ruin it for me, but that was my first question. I was like, why does this pizzeria have a night security guard in the first place?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Cawthon is the is got a screenplay credit on this, as you said, with Emma Tammy, who is the director of this, and Seth Cudback. Now, I can't wait for this. I'm super pumped. I can't wait to review it on the show. I think this has, I don't want to put the cart before the horse over here, but given the people involved, the actors involved, and how deliciously juicy that teaser was, I feel like we didn't talk much about the teaser, but like, the teaser itself is just really good because it doesn't give away any major plot points. It shows you just very briefly sort of the world in which this exists. It's timed perfectly with a training video too. And so it creates this sort of like almost like 80s era like horror intrigue to it. I'm stoked for this thing. I think this thing has potential to be a friggin' banger. For Blumhouse, quality, and Jason Blum is talking up the hell out of this thing, and I love like just his, like it comes through in his many tweets about this thing. I think I get the sense that he's super proud of this one.